How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's video, it's actually approaching my birthday at the time that I'm filming this. It's only a couple days away. I can't remember the date right now, but it's approaching very quickly, and so I've decided to do a little staycation thing here with a couple of my friends. Rented out a condo. I won't say exactly where, but rented out a condo here, and I'm gonna drive up there pretty soon. I've got all the stuff packed, dive stuff, cooking stuff, everything that we're gonna need while we're up there at that condo, and it's right near the water, so we're gonna go out, try and shoot a bunch of fish, and then just cook what we catch for dinner and lunch while we're staying there. Hopefully the goal is to try and just survive off of what we shoot, but you know, we'll see how well the dive goes first before we determine that. But yeah, that's gonna be today's video. I hope you guys enjoy. Remember to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It really helps out my channel a lot, and I genuinely appreciate all of your guys' support. It means the world to me. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the water. Shoot. Alright guys, so right off the bat, we made it to the first zone that we wanted to check out, and Makana takes a drop on this moo pile that we had seen and manages to nail a really nice size one. I wish I had recorded the actual shot that he took, but it was super far, and he managed to get a little shish kebab here. So it went in through one side and then out through his mouth. Really nice shot, and a really far shot too. I was super impressed, and it's a good size moo too, one of the bigger ones that I've seen. Like, look at the length on this guy, absolutely nuts. But yeah, really nice size moo to start off the day. And right after that, two Ukus come in, and they came to check out, I guess, all the commotion. And one of them was pretty big, the other one was a little bit smaller. So I hit the bottom here, and I couldn't see the big one when I hit the bottom, but I did immediately see the smaller one. And so I figured the big one probably took off, and I'd rather have a small Uku or a smaller Uku than no Uku at all. So I start dusting here, I'm looking around, and he starts coming right in. You can't really see him on camera. I'm not trying to stare at him also. My camera angle was a little bit low today. But I'm dusting, and he starts coming in, so I start moving my body in his direction. And I look up, he's right in front of me, turns broadside, gives me a nice shot here. And I actually managed to spine him, which was nice. Yeah, back-to-back fish, first Uku of the day, really nice size moo. And that was actually Makana's first moo. And man, that super big first moo for sure. I don't know, he might have a hard time topping that. It looked, honestly to me, it looked bigger than any moo I've ever shot. So really good size one. And then right after that, got this nice Uku too. Super stoked. Not a huge one, but you know, we're not super picky with Ukus. As long as they're, you know, good size like this one, around this size, like 4 or 5 pounds and up, I'll take a nice Uku any day. But yeah, super nice to start off the dive like that. We're both now in high spirits, and just set a good vibe for the rest of the dive. You know, at least now, even if we don't shoot anything for the rest of the day, we both got a nice fish. Yeah, stoked. Good start. So while I was dealing with the first Uku that I just shot, the bigger one actually came back around. Makana took a drop on it. He didn't really seem to want to come in. So I threw my flasher out, see if that would entice him a little bit. And you can see it on the bottom there. So I hit the bottom. And I'm looking around trying to see if I can catch a glimpse of him, because usually when ukus are curious and when they're gonna give you a chance, you'll see them as soon as you hit the bottom in the distance. They might not be super close, but you'll see them at least. And it took a little bit, but I did see him off to my left there for a second. And instead of turning around to face him, he seemed kind of skittish, so I didn't want to move around too much. So instead I kind of stayed still and tried to get him to come around to the front of me instead of me turning to face him. But he wasn't really doing that either. He wasn't super into it, which is kind of weird in terms of uku behavior. Usually when you can see them, if they're sticking around, if they're hanging around the same area, usually they're a little more curious, but this guy was kind of keeping his distance. And you can see all the moves coming in too, but I was kind of focused on this uku, and I turn around and I can't even see him at all anymore. So I figured at this point, it was a little bit shallow at that spot, so I figured the ukus are maybe pushing out deeper as it gets later in the day. This was a morning dive, but still like later in the day. So me and Makana, we decided to swim out, and this is in about like 65-ish feet, and I saw this section of flats that looked pretty nice, so I threw my flasher, and as soon as I hit the bottom, I see this nice uku come in to check it out. So I'm dusting, I grab my flasher off the bottom, start scratching the bottom, throwing up some more dust, shaking the flasher around, and I look up and he's actually coming in. So I line up here, take my shot as he's kind of quartering away. Unfortunately, didn't really get him in the frame, but managed to stick him. Got a shot that entered kind of lower than I would have liked, but because he was above me and I'm shooting up at him, it came out through the top of his body, near the top of his body. And this guy takes off like a rocket. My reel is screaming. By the time he was done running, he actually almost spooled me. And at the time, I didn't know how good my shot was, so I didn't want to put tension on the reel and kind of try and slow him down, because I didn't want to have that shot pull out. But turns out it was a nice shot. I just didn't know that at this point. So I could have, or if I had known that I had a good shot, I would have, put some tension on that reel, tried to stop him from taking out all that line, because this happens when you let him take out all that line. A lot of times they'll get tangled on the bottom. But luckily he wasn't tangled too bad, and like I said, the shot was a holding shot. And so I just went down, untangled the line, and got him unstuck. That knife mark in his head already is there from Makana. He tried to make a drop and get this guy off the reef, but current was going a little bit, so he landed closer to the uku than where the tangle was. So he just tried to brain the uku so it wouldn't fight anymore. And I just give him another stab, make sure the job is done, and then give him a quick bleed. Yeah, another nice uku, a little bit bigger than the first one. This guy was probably like 6 or 7 pounds-ish. And like I said, a little bit deeper water, so I've heard, or I've noticed that in the early morning, ukus will be in shallow because they've been hunting the night before. They'll come in a little bit shallower to hunt the night before. And then as the day goes on, as morning passes, they start to go back out to deeper water. So me and Makana are basically just following them out into that deep water. So if you're ever diving and you're seeing ukus shallow, and then all of a sudden you kind of stop seeing them, you can try and go out a little bit deeper. So a lot of times they're just going out more as the day goes on. But we made it out to some even deeper water because I wanted to find structure. I didn't want to keep diving flats, and luckily we did find structure. This is in about 80 feet, 82-ish feet. And once again, through the flasher, wasn't really seeing anything at first besides, like, there was a bunch of pualus and palanis. I did see a nice kumu, but not too many other fish around. So I just, once again, throwing the flasher, because with ukus, a lot of times you don't see them from the surface. You'll see them once you hit the bottom and cause some commotion when you throw a flasher or something like that. That brings them around, because they're around. You just need to call them in, bring them in from wherever they're at. So I see one here after a good amount of time on the bottom, and once again putting my eyes down. I don't want to stare at him, and immediately as soon as I could see him coming, I knew he was big. So I start scratching, dusting, doing everything I can, and I look up. I lunge here. You can see how big he is, but he doesn't quite give me the shot I want, so I go right back down to the bottom, and here he gives me the perfect broadside. And immediately, I mean, like I said, as soon as I saw him, I knew how big he was. And so I started going up to the surface, but surprisingly, unlike a lot of other ukus like the one I just shot before this guy, they take off. Like, as soon as they're hit, they'll make one big run and then they're kind of done. I've said this a bunch of times in other videos where I shoot ukus, but this guy, he didn't really run that hard. He ran for a second after I hit him, and then he kind of just started doing circles. But right here, as I'm getting to the surface, my reel locks up. So you can see me fighting and I'm barely even moving, and that's when he decided to try and take a run when I couldn't make it up to the surface when my reel was locked. And so I make it up to the surface, but he pulls me right back down. And then here you can hear me yell to Makana, yo, grab my gun, because I'm getting drowned by this uku. And luckily I was able to catch my breath. I caught a cramp in my leg too, trying to get up to the surface. But luckily Makana was right there, being a good dive partner, being a good safety. And he was right there to grab my gun so I could get some air. But yeah, this uku was literally drowning me just because my reel locked up on the way up, which has never happened to me before. It was super weird. And of course it happens when I've got a shot in one of the biggest ukus of my life. But luckily, we got it figured out, and he kind of stopped running or trying to run as hard. But yeah, the strength on this guy was insane, and he's pretty deep too. You can see how far the bottom is. And yeah, for the last like 5-10 feet, I was just fighting just to get up to the surface. But yeah, luckily, nothing went wrong. Makana was right there. He was able to grab my gun. Everything was okay. And then now I'm just kind of slowly fighting this guy and I'm catching my breath because I know if he takes another hard run, I'm gonna have to go with him because I'm not losing my gun or this fish. So I'm just kind of preparing myself just in case. But luckily at this point, I'm getting back most of my line. So even if he does run, I'll have a good amount of leeway. And he seems to be kind of tired already. But as I'm bringing him up, I'm noticing that I'm seeing way more of the shaft coming out of the top side of him, the side that's closer to me, than there should be, because I saw where my shot was, and even if, you know, it pulled back through and the barb was sitting flush against his skin, I'm still seeing way too much of the spear coming out of the side of him. So I have a feeling that something's wrong, like the barbs pushed through or something like that. So I'm just trying to get this guy in my hands as soon as possible. The rest of the way I kind of horse him up, and then I get my hand in his gills. And I get them really far in there, like almost like I'm wrapping around his throat, just because I don't want this guy to kick and get out. But again, once I get him in my hands, he's just one of the biggest ukus I've ever shot. And on a shore dive too, I immediately knew he was the biggest uku I've shot from shore, for sure. Really nice sized fish. Look at his head, just enormous. Get some blood out of him, and that was all she wrote. Landed this beautiful uku. So freaking stoked, man. Absolute dozer. And I absolutely was not expecting. I mean, these grounds, like, they usually hold ukus, but not ukus like this. This was something else. Absolutely beautiful fish. And it's always rewarding to get a really nice fish from shore, you know, to swim all the way out there and find a zone, take these like little bit deeper drops, and for it all to pay off like this is always just an incredible feeling. Alright guys, we're back from the dive. Killer action, killer dive. Probably the best shore dive I've ever had personally. Got some really nice fish. I got those 3 ukus. I got, look at that. This one's probably like 4, maybe 5. This guy's probably like 6, something like that. And then I was already stoked on these. And then we sent it out to some deeper water. And I managed to get a shot in this dozer right here. That might be the biggest uku I've ever shot in my life. Bigger than my torso. Look at that. Freaking animal. Dinosaur, this guy. So stoked on this one. Like I said, probably my biggest uku ever. Hopefully we can get a weight on him. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous fish. And then Makana got a nice move. He's gonna show off that thing in a little bit.
Yeah, look at this bugger.
Yeah.
Dozer.
Try hold him by the gills. Your hands are. Bro.
That's actually my first move. You know, I've been trying to hunt these.
Hell of a first move, bro. Hell of a first move. That thing might be close to 8.
Took a far shot.
Look at that.
You know, took a chance.
Look at that.
Luckily I landed on.
Oh.
Yes, super excited.
Killer.
So stoked.
Alright guys, so we got some really good eats here. Honestly, it's the first dive of our 3-day challenge thing that we're doing, and I don't think we're gonna be able to top that. At least for me personally, I don't think I'm topping this. But super stoked. We got some really nice fish and obviously a ton of meat. We're definitely not gonna go hungry over these next couple days, but yeah, we're gonna get these guys on ice. Probably let them sit on ice for a little bit because a bunch of people tell me that it's better to let them sit for a little bit on the ice before you actually clean them. Shout out to the Uku man, Matty Talks, for telling me that one. But yeah, we're gonna let them sit for a while and then probably get them cleaned up. And then Kiali's gonna be joining us tonight actually, and then we're probably gonna set another dive. But yeah, that's all there is to it. We might clean up one of the Ukus actually, now that I think about it, because we do need some food for tonight. But other than that, yeah, we're gonna let the rest of them sit and yeah, guide them sometime later within the next couple days. Oh yeah, yes sir. Alright guys, I'm about to clean the uku, the big one. Well, I'm gonna clean all of them, but I'm gonna do the big one first. Look at this thing. Frickin' dozer. Yeah, definitely the biggest uku I got from shore. Unfortunately, no scale, so can't weigh them, but you guys can drop your best guess in the comments on how big you think this guy is. If I had to guess, I'd probably say maybe high teens, like 17, 18, something like that, but regardless, stoked. Yeah, we're gonna get this guy cut up and we're gonna make some delicious poke tonight. Yes sir. Alright guys, so we got a bunch of the uku fillets here. We got a few bags. We cleaned everything and we had a total of 4 uku, so we got a good amount of uku meat. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna make some poke for tonight's dinner. We're gonna do 2 types. We're gonna do classic shorty poke, and then we're also gonna do some spicy poke as well. But first things first, we gotta cut these into cubes. So I'll catch you guys after I do that. Yes sir. Going in with some Hawaiian salt first. Mix that up a little bit. There we go, some shoyu. And then sesame oil. Alright, so to make our sauce for our spicy poke, you guys have probably seen me do this a bunch of times before, but all it is some Kewpie mayo. I mean, you can use whatever mayo, but I prefer Kewpie. Then we go in with our sriracha. And then you pretty much just add a bunch of each until you have the kind of spice level that you like. It's kind of just mixing it to taste. And I'm just gonna mix that up. And yeah, that's basically it. That's all it is. Then I'm gonna keep adding more until we reach the spice level that we want. Yes, sir. Oh.
Got a little piece. Or you just want to save that one?
Just eat it, eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
Maybe a little bit of shoyu too. Oh! One down, one down.